I think it's for clicks and views so he doesn't have to go to another job interview. Right? That's what it's all about today. Trying to get this clout so you don't have to go to work, right? Or traditional work, because you're still gonna be doing something. This reminds me of the old movie with Godfrey Cambridge where he turns black overnight. I have no idea what that is. What movie is that, Edward? Please let me know. Can Kill says, sadly, black men made her rich. Listen, this is why I appreciate you, Teddy, because you are willing to actually tell the truth. Like, you don't have to go in on people or do things disrespectfully, but I think there's something to be said when certain things happen. And I feel like in the black community, things happen and we act like Ray Charles. Rest in peace. You know, I just posted about Ray Charles, but we act like we have seen nothing. See no evil. Like it's just nothing. Oh, everything's perfect. Oh, there's no accountability for anybody and all that stuff. Or there is accountability, but black women did it. They made me do it. That's my perspective. But let's move on. Let's get into the video where he's talking to DJ Vlad. And we know, listen, I actually like DJ Vlad's voice. But I do feel like, my question is he paying these folks to get on his show? Folks give him so much content, and I wonder if they're getting paid for it. Let's get into this other video that he did with DJ Vlad.
Definitely one of our more interesting guests that we've had over the years. And, before we get into your whole story, you're essentially a Caucasian man who at one point started to inject himself with a chemical that put melanin in your skin that would make you dark when you started going out in the sun.
Yes and no. It's not technically melanin. People always think it's melanin, but it's just a peptide that is basically steroids when it doesn't do anything unless I go into the sun. So the same thing as steroids helps people get muscle faster. The injections help me to get darker faster whenever I get into the sun. It's just tanning, with ultra speed.
Got it. Got it. And we'll get into that whole part of the story, but I kind of want to go into your background first. So where exactly did you grow up?
Basically two different places. When I was born up in New York, I lived there till I was about 10, and then I moved down south in small town areas in the middle of nowhere.
Definitely one of our more interesting guests that we've had over the years. And,
Okay, wait. I have to replay both of these because what? Also, he was in this video. I think he also talked about black women. He apparently dates black women. Listen, looking at that man, for me, I'm wondering. I have to see if I can find that segment. I'm just wondering what women are trying to approach him, because here's the thing, or even talk to him. For me, if you're approaching me, I need you to be as authentic as you can. Obviously, there's going to be some fronting. Like a lot of men will kind of front with their car, front how much money, or front something. Like there's lies being told either way. Like either women, I've seen women where they have a whole different face. They're doing a whole Kylie Jenner, and it's all just lies at the end of the day. But with this is a totally different level. This is a different level because for me, I'm listening to him, and in that video, I would say he doesn't necessarily sound like, if I just heard his voice, I would say, oh, this is a black man. But looking at him to see how tan he looks in with the braids and his whole persona, he definitely looks to be coming off as a black man. But just seeing that interaction of him, I'm confused. I'm literally just confused about what he's trying to do, why he's doing this. And to me, I do agree, Teddy, I feel like he's trying to gain some type of clout or something from doing this. Here's some of the comments. Folks are saying, I can't with humans. I simply can't. You know what? Let him do it. He want to be oppressed so bad. He'll want to be white again. And this gets into the issue that I have is I really want to understand, okay, are you really feeling like you are the wrong race? Because with the conversation about gender, or sex, there's two things that we can't change about our DNA, and those are the things. And so if folks are feeling like they're in the wrong body, well, that would mean either you think you're the wrong race or you think you're the wrong gender. So is it coming from that angle? Because this is not the first person to do this, right? But at the same time, that means you want all of it. You want everything that it means to be a black man. You would want all of that. So that means you're not going home and changing it. You're not going, changing it for certain, there's a wedding in the family. There's a reading of a will and you got to change it real fast or else you're not, like, if there's any stipulations that would make you change your look. Like for me, I can't change this naturally. Like even if there were things I could do, my DNA doesn't change. Listen, if that's what he wants to do from that perspective, if that's really what he wants to do, I'm not offended by it. However, that's the point that I want to get into. Why are you doing it? What are you looking to gain? Do you really feel that you're in the wrong body? But if someone's going to this amount of extremes, it does make me feel like, okay, so do you really think you're in the wrong body? Okay, let me look at some comments. King of Kill says, I used to be a fan of Vlad until he disrespected the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan and wouldn't apologize. When did that happen? I need more details on that. I don't follow Vlad. I only saw this. I only see Vlad's videos when folks are talking about something outrageous someone said. I think the last video I saw of Vlad's was Godfrey, which I didn't know who he was until everyone was talking about it on Vlad TV, because he was like mad about some billboard in Brooklyn because it had a white guy and a black woman together. Like, and I was just like, what? In New York, that's what you're mad about? You got like 50 million other things to be upset about. Really? That got under your skin? Okay. Not the rats. Not the rats running around everywhere. Not the garbage everywhere. Not the high rent prices. That billboard. Anyway, I thought that was just very strange. So that's what I remembered last from DJ Vlad, was that whole shenanigans. Ted says, guys, just hold your tongue and smile politely. We are clearly witnessing mental illness. It could be. I mean, I literally think either it's about clout or he really thinks he is in the wrong body. Listen, I don't know. Everyone has to do what they have to do to be happy in this world. So obviously no real judgment unless like you're changing this up. Like again, if you want the experience, you want the full experience. Then you want the good and the bad. And do you understand the good and the bad that comes along with this? Thank you, Edward. Please like the video. Ken Kill is saying, yes, I think he's transracial. I think so too. I think he's transracial, or that's the other thing. I don't know. With this category, because Rachel Dolezal, what about her? She got a lot of slack. So we're gonna say, oh, it's okay to be transracial, then why did people go in so heavy on her? Right? So I don't know. It's an interesting space right now. Okay, let's see. This is the first one. Wait, this one is the first one. Just kidding. All right.
I'm in a body that looks like it's, you know what I'm saying? What up, y'all? Nuka Zeus here, representing that black power, you know what I'm saying? The injections that I inject into myself as an experimental drug supposedly makes your pigments working overtime to produce more melanin in the skin. Today is day 7 that I've been taking it. The first couple days were fucking terrible. I get lightheaded, feeling tired and drowsy. And for the people that have been following me on this adventure of mine, today is day 50. That's right, half of 100 days I've been injected on myself, and I am, as you can see, I am getting darker, and I love it. My nipples are no longer pink, y'all. My is no longer pink. It's like light brown. Being a black guy, but then when I died and restarted this file, I'm in a body that looks like it's.
So I tried to stop that part where he's talking about his whole body and everything. And you know what is interesting? There's always been this weird, I'll just say sensualization when it comes to black men and black women. Obviously, we're human, so we're kind of sensualizing a lot of things. But I remember reading this book, and I was like so young. Was I in middle school? Anywho, it was about a white man, and I think the book was titled Black Like Me, but he underwent taking pills, and I think he used makeup, he shaved his head, and I think he naturally was a slightly bigger guy, and he turned himself into a black appearing man. But it was to write about the experiences that a black man has. And this was like somewhere in the South. And I don't remember everything that he went through in that book. And that's why I always say, as a black woman, I can speak on what I see and what I think black men should be held accountable for within our community, but I can't speak to the experience of what y'all go through because I've never had the I've never lived that life. So I'm not gonna act like I do. But in that book I remember he mentioned white men would ask him about his body, use your imagination, and his wife and how they were together and just very intimate, just obviously rude, disrespectful type of conversations and questions that didn't need to be asked. And that stuck with me because it was just it kind of got into my head of like, is this really what they go through? Again, it was in the South. It was in, I want to say 60s. No, it couldn't have been the 60s. I want to say the 70s. Let me look it up. Let me see. I don't think most of us were even alive, but I'm going to show this because I can get that type of scenario. Hey, Dominic. Hey. I can get that type of scenario, right? Where you're writing a book, you're actually trying to understand the full experience. And he didn't change it. Like this was him for a period of time. Obviously, he went back to being white, I think. But, he lived this life and carried on his, day to day and actually lived it. So it's called Black Like Me. You can get it on Amazon. It is the 50th anniversary edition here. I don't remember seeing that one. I think I saw this version. And it says, Black Like Me, first published in 1961, is a nonfiction book by journalist John Howard Griffin recounting his journey in the Deep South of the United States at a time when African Americans lived under racial segregation. It was published in 1961, and it's in the genre biography, so it is a true story. This is Wikipedia, so we got to take it with a grain of salt. But it looks like Griffin was a native of Mansfield, Texas, had his skin temporarily darkened to pass as a black man. Ooh, he traveled for 6 weeks through the racially segregated states of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, and Georgia. Do you know to this day I will not go to Mississippi? Strictly no hate towards Mississippi. If people in Mississippi, like that's fine, but I will not go. No need. Uh so anyway, I like as a black woman today in 2022, I don't even want to go there. So anyway, he traveled those states. It says to explore life from the other side of the color line. Griffin kept a journal of his experiences. The 188-page diary was the genesis of the book. When he started his project in 1959, race relations in America were particularly strained. The title of the book is taken from the last line of Langston Hughes' poem Dream Variations. So that is interesting. And this is him. So do you all think, like, if you saw him on the street, you would think he was a black man? Because looking at him from this angle, he does look like a black man. He looks more like a black man than this other guy that's trying to portray himself as a black man. Definitely to me. But what do you all think? Does he look like a black man to you? They did a good job, right? Whew. And so it says that he was given oral doses of anti-vitiligo drug methoxylate. I don't know, I'm not a pharmacist. methylphenidate and spent up to 15 hours daily under an ultraviolet lamp for about a week. Oh my God, that sounds miserable. He was giving regular blood tests to ensure that he was not suffering liver damage. The darkening of his skin was not perfect, so he touched it up with stain. I thought he used some type of makeup or something. I remembered that part. He shaved his head bald to hide his straight brown hair. Satisfied that he could pass as an African American, Griffin began a 6-week journey in the South. Don Rutledge traveled with him, documenting the experience with photos. So I guess that's who captured that photo. Whew. And he abided by the rule that he would not change his name or alter his identity. If asked who he was or what he was doing, he would tell the truth. In the beginning, he decided to talk as little as possible to ease his transition into the social milieu of Southern U.S. blacks. He became accustomed everywhere to the hate stare. The hate stare. And if you're a black person listening to me, have you experienced the hate stare? Yes, I feel like I've experienced it in Spain, in the U.S. I've experienced the hate stare intercontinentally. It's not even funny, but it's the experience of being a black person. Like, you experience so many microaggressions and aggressions so much that at some point we actually have come to the point where we just kind of roll our eyes at it. So can you imagine, if you're not a black person, can you imagine getting hate stares? And this is documented by a white man. You believe white men? There you go. That he had this experience. Now, of course, 1951, has that much changed since then? If I'm saying in 2022 that I've experienced multiple hate stares and I understand what he's getting at, let me know in the comments if you understand what he's getting at, if you are a black person. After he disguised himself, many people who knew Griffin as a white man did not recognize him. I mean, look at him. He really underwent a full transformation. I wonder if they have pictures of him before. After he disguised himself, many people who knew Griffin as a white man did not recognize him. Sterling Williams, a black shoeshine man in the French Quarter, who Griffin regarded as a casual friend, did not recognize him. He first hinted that he wore the same unusual shoes as somebody else. That's interesting. So even someone that he knew regularly didn't. Griffin began to give his seat to a white woman. Wait, hold on. Let me backtrack. In New Orleans, a black counterman at a small restaurant chatted with Griffin about the difficulties of finding a place to go to the bathroom, as facilities were segregated and blacks were prohibited from many. He turned a question about a Catholic church into a joke about spending much of your time praying for a place to, I don't really want to say that word, but you see it, to use the bathroom. On a bus trip, Griffin began to give his seat to a white woman, but disapproving looks from black passengers stopped him. He thought he had a momentary breakthrough with the woman, but she insulted him and began talking with other white passengers about how impudent the blacks were becoming. Anywho, I won't read through the whole thing. I'm going to close it out, but that's what I was talking about when I thought about that book. Like, that book is still stuck with me, and should I have been reading that book as a middle schooler? Probably not. I don't even know. I love reading books back in the day, so I don't know. I probably picked it out myself.